It's time to pick a side. The border war is on the air with BG and Ken.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. That is a real place, despite what BG will have you say. I am the Tan Man. I'm here with BG in the studio. We're in front of a live studio audience today. However you're listening, we appreciate it. Episode 74. If you want to talk about UNC football, not so much. There's not a lot
that
going on.
That was episode 72.5.
Yeah, it might as well have been episode 22 because they haven't really been worth talking about since then very much. But I found an interesting topic before we get into a little bit about the Clemson Tigers. The Gamecocks, of course, were off this weekend. But I found an interesting topic, and I wanted to hear your take on it.
All right.
The North Carolina Tar Heels were approached. Of course, we've all went through a big round of realignment a few years ago, and there was, of course, rumors, things thrown out. And one of them was that North Carolina was approached by the SEC.
Now, see, I didn't hear this story.
Yeah.
And I saw it on our lineup for today, and I thought, okay, well, you're going to clear that up.
Yeah. A few, of course, you had the whole, the Maryland going to the Big Ten.
Please tell me it was in exchange for kicking us out of the SEC.
No.
I want out in the worst sort of way.
The SEC, along with the Big Ten later on, but the SEC wanted North Carolina to come during that last round of jambalaya that went through college sports. And the hiccup was North Carolina wanted to bring Duke along for obvious reasons.
Yes.
And the SEC wanted no part of Duke. They were willing to bring Virginia, but they wouldn't take Duke, and North Carolina squashed the deal. So I'm going to ask you, because
first of all, rivalry aside, why is that?
What?
That they didn't want Duke.
I don't know.
Is it just because they didn't want two schools, period, or you said they would have taken Virginia?
They would have taken Virginia.
Do you think it's a combo sports issue, baseball, basketball, football,
I think
quality?
Duke's not good in anything else.
But is that the issue? Is that
I don't
what I'm
know.
saying?
I don't know.
Is that what your guess would be, or do you think
that, or I would say academic, but you got Vanderbilt in there. Maybe because the conference.
You say we don't want any good schools. Is that
the conference?
Don't mess our conference up with academics.
They generally like to keep like-minded institutions together.
I'll tell you
what.
I
really don't know.
If I had three wishes, I would waste one of them on putting South Carolina back in the ACC. Man, I got it. And this is not to jump off topic, but this is how bad it's gotten. South Carolina fans for years and years ago, the best thing that ever happened to us was getting in the SEC, and I would argue with them online for just tell me one thing. Just how is it at all? Mm-hmm. We've been in it almost 30 years now. What do we have to show for it? Now, there was a thread last week. Everybody on there is like, God, get us out of this nightmare, please. It's over. We give up. I would love for you guys to move into our slide.
Basically beating you guys into submission, and you're ready to tap out.
Yes.
I would tell you what, I have been you know me, I'm a traditionalist to the core. I want the ACC tournament to stay in Greensboro and never leave.
Don't tell me you think you want in there.
I want the ACC to go back to 9 teams where you played a round-robin basketball schedule.
You're not setting this up to say but, are you?
But.
God, no, don't, man. Don't do that.
They made a listen to me.
UNC is the ACC,
Listen to me. They made a compelling argument, and I'm going to convince you why North Carolina, if the opportunity presents itself. I'm not sure it will.
But if it does, is it just cold turkey, or there's another school coming from someplace else, or we're talking about Virginia?
If Virginia if the SEC wants to bring Virginia, that's great.
Years and years ago, Clemson Kev and I had a big conversation about this back when all this was going on, and both of us had convinced ourselves that if it was a play in the ACC, we just laughed at North Carolina like that would never happen. We thought it would be Virginia Tech and NC State, that those two schools are more
from what I've
football factories than anybody else.
From what I found, it's not so much about football.
Okay.
You've got the football. The SEC has the football thing covered.
Really?
That's a done deal. That's
Which is why I want out of it.
That's a wrap.
Why I want out of it.
The SEC wants into the state of North Carolina, so where are they going to go? Are you bringing NC State in there? East Carolina, Wake Forest? No, the only logical choice is North Carolina. But
you're right, but I just figured that would have been off the table.
From North Carolina, I don't think it was off the table. I think if the SEC had agreed to take Duke and Duke had agreed to go, that it'd be a done deal now.
That's fascinating.
It would be a done deal now. But I'm going to tell you, I said, I love the ACC. I love the conference. I love everything about it, the history, the tradition. If the opportunity presents itself again, North Carolina should run to the SEC as fast as they can. As fast as they can. Because here's the thing.
You got some convincing to do here.
Okay, here's the thing. The SEC...
Well, I will say this. You're dominating basketball.
Well...
I mean, the SEC is better at basketball than the ACC is at football, but there's Kentucky.
Well, that's what I was going to say. It's not like we would be leaving behind the ACC for a conference where we would have no equal in basketball.
Right.
You've got an equal in Lexington. We play them almost every year anyway.
Right.
Florida can more than hold their own.
Sure.
But I'm saying when you look at the ACC in the other sports, all right, the North Carolina football program is fledgling. Fan support is almost nil right now. Now, some of that's because they're not very good. Some of that's because, look, it's just hard to convince people to get up and drive to go watch North Carolina play Pittsburgh on noon on a Saturday. How hard do you think selling a ticket to when Auburn comes to town on a Saturday night is?
Probably not as hard.
Alabama.
Here's the other, and let me throw this in
and
there.
And you're not beating Pittsburghs, you're not beating Boston Colleges now. So what's the difference?
And let me throw this out there too, just to make that case. And we'll talk about Clemson in a minute and the beatdown they put on NC State. But did you look up in the upper decks at Death Valley on Saturday? Those corners are empty, man.
They're empty.
They're not selling that place out. South Carolina's not selling out Williams-Brice. I mean, but that's different though. But your point being is, even for Clemson fans, they're number 2 team in the country. I mean, the schedule's not.
Look,
it ain't the sexiest thing you've ever seen.
You can argue, well, they'd never win an SEC football title. If Clemson is the standard bearer, they're
they're not going to win an ACC.
They're
title
making the mark right now in the ACC. You're not winning an ACC title.
You can play for one. That's what we said, right?
Well,
we basically came out and said that last couple weeks ago that the goal at North Carolina should be you could get back into losing in Charlotte to Clemson because that's it. That's all you've got.
You would be as close to winning an SEC title as you are winning an ACC title right now. But the other thing is, I look around and I see Connecticut.
Yep.
All right. Connecticut hung on to that old school Big East rivalry stuff
until the Big East dropped out from under them.
Until the Big East just cut them out like a like a bad potato. I forget the pun, so forgive me about that. But they were left out in the cold, and now they are just kind of floating around out there in the middle of nowhere. North Carolina and Duke is the best rivalry in sports right now.
Notre Dame, I mean, it's different, but like their lack of ability to commit to a conference, I don't care that they're in the Final Four in some people's minds right now. It's hurt them over the last 10 years.
Well, look, North Carolina and Duke is the best rivalry in sports right now, but you know what the best rivalry in the ACC was 30 years ago? It was North Carolina and NC State. And NC State went through the Jim Valvano stuff, got put on probation, and basically my entire life, NC State has just been another team.
Yeah.
Mike Krzyzewski is in his 70s. Roy Williams is in his 70s if he's not in his late 60s.
And you feel like there's a chance that rivalry doesn't...
I mean, you don't know that rivalry looks the same 10 years from now as it does today.
You're right.
Look, you never thought you'd be without Nebraska and Oklahoma in football every year. You never thought you'd be without Texas A&M and Texas joined at the hip. You never thought you'd be without Syracuse and UConn playing in Madison Square Garden every year. But you know what? The sun still comes up.
Oh, yeah.
The sun still comes up.
I mean,
everybody's making money hand over fist.
That's what I was going to say. There's some sacred cows in college sports. None of them are bigger than the George Washington cow on the front of the dollar bill because that's what's driving stuff.
And then you're worried about your rival in college basketball. That is the easiest rivalry to keep alive that there is.
Like you said, you play Kentucky every year.
You play Kentucky almost every year.
So you can play Duke every year.
You can schedule Duke every year.
Clemson, South Carolina in football. That's an even harder thing to do,
right?
But it gets done.
Right. And so it's not.
Now, let's be honest. I mean, Texas A&M and Texas, if they really cared that much, you know what they would do? They'd play a game.
Same thing with Syria. So it's not a rivalry thing to me. We could still play Duke. But I'm saying.
So what? Okay.
I'm worried about the ACC.
That's what I'm going to ask. Go ahead.
Worried about the ACC basically, because in football, it's already a one-trick pony right now.
Oh, God, yeah. And I mean, Florida State, I'm worried. They don't. People forget something about Florida State. They've only won with one coach, ever. They were awful before Bobby Bowden got there, and now that he's gone, they're awful again. Now, yes, Jimbo Fisher won a national title in the same way that Gus Malzahn won a national title, right? An unstoppable quarterback fell into his lap, but that isn't what's going on there now. I mean, Clemson's about to go down there and beat them 55-0 in Tallahassee.
And I got one more thing to throw at you to try to convince you to bring you on my side.
Oh, and let me throw this at you too. You guys are an elite baseball team. The SEC is the best baseball conference in college sports. I mean, it would help your baseball program.
And look at Texas A&M. All right, Texas A&M is in the Big 12. They're a pretty good Big 12 football team, right?
They've blown up since
they're pretty good.
SEC. Yep.
They go to the SEC, and now they are the richest athletic program in the country. A rising tide raises all ships. Now, if North Carolina were to make that switch, I think clearly they would take some lumps to begin with. But it's not going to be any worse than the lumps you're taking now. But two, that would force the school's hand to really, really get serious about football.
And let's be honest too. The North Carolina brand is something that has nationwide appeal anyway.
You can stick North Carolina in whatever conference you want to. I mean, they're going to sell.
But I have a hard time admitting we're to that point. You know what I mean? It hurts a little bit. Like, I don't like. Look, I'm not old enough. I'm 44. There are 55 and 60-year-old Gamecock fans that tell you they hate North Carolina more than Clemson because of stuff that went on.
Well, okay. North Carolina fans are the same way with NC State.
Right. So I get all that. But I've never had that, the name of our show, we've talked about it. It'd be a little more fun if we actually played each other in anything that really would be a border war. But here's the thing. I would somehow use my influence. If you guys sneak in, we're sneaking out the back door, man.
Don't run from us.
No, it ain't
Don't
that.
Run from us.
It's not that. It's not that. It's while the lights are off and the chickens are running around. One chicken's getting out of that hen house, baby. South Carolina is going back to the ACC.
Don't run from us. Don't run from us.
We can play anytime y'all want. You can beat us in football or in basketball. We'll beat you in football, and y'all will beat us 37-2 in baseball.
Listen, you won't schedule us for anything now.
We schedule you for baseball every year.
We're going to have
we tried. We tried. If the NCAA protected you clowns.
It doesn't count. So, yes, BG, I'm telling you, listen, that is a position that I never, ever, ever would have thought I would have taken. But the more I sat and thought about it this afternoon, I'm like, you know what, man? I say pull the trigger on it. If the SEC
that's your whole Amari Cooper thing, right? Just do something. You just like change, man. You like change.
I don't like change.
I don't know, man. You sound kind of chaotic right now. You're getting older.
I do not
Things
like change.
Things are changing for you.
But I say if the SEC comes calling, I am not opposed to North Carolina answering the phone.
Now, realistically speaking, I've heard the argument made that we're done with all that for a long time.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think
we need to save some of this for like a summer broadcast. You know what would be really fun?
I think I'd say within 5 to 7 years, there's going to be some more moving around.
I tell you what, because as a South Carolina, I'm dead serious, man. I'm out. I'm done. South Carolina's football future is so grim.
You said it a minute ago. It's not about sports. About that dollar bill, man.
And that's why we're there.
And nobody's leaving the SEC. And you're only going to bring more people in. Nobody's leaving.
Let's just be factual here, right? As mediocre as South Carolina has been over its history in a lot of sports, Even though there more success since the year 2000. You know where South Carolina ranks in total value of athletic programs in the United States?
38.
17.
Okay.
That's the SEC. And you guys would be in
say,
the top 10 within a year.
I was going to say, where are we?
I mean, not that high.
Yeah.
Not that high. But you're right. If you don't think it's the ACC holding you back, then you're not paying attention. I will agree with you on that. If what you're paying attention to is value, dollar, brand, and like you said, it's not like the ACC's helped you out anyway. Your basketball program is going to be what your basketball program is going to be.
Listen, as a North Carolina fan, I'm telling you, us and Duke have basically carried everybody else in the ACC for the last. Well, it's picked up now, but there was a good 10-year gap there where the ACC was a little down, and North Carolina Duke just flat carried the whole league. I'm tired of carrying everybody else, man.
We're talking about in basketball still, right?
I'm just talking about it. I'm tired of carrying everybody else, man.
NC State's women's volleyball team is exceptionally good. You've never carried
the only thing that
I just made that up. I don't know if that's true.
The only thing that could be a holdup is I think we play a lot of sports that the SEC doesn't offer.
South Carolina does too. And South Carolina's in Conference USA in several sports.
And I don't know that North Carolina going to Conference USA would be.
But does anybody know that South Carolina's in Conference USA in equestrian and women's soccer?
No,
I mean, like they don't know that. Nobody pays attention to it.
But see, our soccer program. I mean, it's the real deal. I mean, it's a serious thing up there, and so that's what I'm saying. I don't think that we're going to go. We'd be willing to go and split it up like that. If we were to ever make that move, the SEC would have to add some sports. So,
certain schools like Alabama and Mississippi, they're just not going to do it.
Yeah.
They have no interest in that
I thought it was an interesting topic. I would put the percentage somewhere around 30 because I think it's possible.
But you think that the percentage is well above 30 that there are going to be another round of...
Oh, there will be another. Yeah, I definitely
Can I ask you this, man? And I mean, this isn't on the slate. And again, I would love to get into this in depth in the summer when we literally have nothing to talk about. But,
the Road Warriors.
I would love to do a show on the Road Warriors. And we will insist on calling them that. They are not
Legion of Doom.
Legion of Doom. That's a nickname. That is not their official name. I have no idea what I was going to say now. You got me excited about the Road Warriors. Yeah, man. Well, I know what it was. What are the chances, do you think, that, I don't know what the time slate on this is, but are conferences as we know them now going to survive, period? Like I tweeted the other night.
That's a good question.
And I think we see it with NC State. I'm not trying to take anything away from Clemson, but this was not the 16th best team in the country, man.
But they do this to NC State every year.
Well, they do it to a lot of teams, but Texas, Michigan, I get it. But it just comes down to the fact that this whole idea of a national champion, when everybody's in their own conference with their own schedule, and you've talked about it in football, there is so precious little out of conference game that mean anything. I just don't know what it means anymore. I mean, even Alabama hasn't played anybody. They're going to play LSU, but they're not going to beat any more ranked teams than Clemson's going to beat. It just, none of it feels like it matters anymore. I miss the days when it did. I miss the days when there were 12 bowls, and if you won the ACC in football or the SEC in football, it was the bomb. But, man, those days are gone. You're not putting that toothpaste back in the tube.
You know what it is? It's super conferences, man. The conferences have gotten so big that you could go to South Carolina.
Well, the SEC started it because they wanted that extra game, that extra money.
You could go to a school and you might not and be there for 4 years or 5 years, and you might not ever play somebody from the other half of your conference.
Well, it's been the last time South Carolina played Alabama was 2010. They're gonna play them next year, so that will be 9 years.
That is crazy. So
9
you're
years.
talking two whole.
And somehow we've played LSU twice in that time span. Like even though we played them in 2007. Yeah. Well, I don't know how all that works.
I don't know. Well, you added between the last time you played Alabama, you added more teams. You added A&M, you added Missouri.
So that's what A&M became our And who knows when we'll play Arkansas again? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's messed up.
You mentioned the Clemson Tigers. They had a big win over NC State this weekend. What it really means,
I felt like I felt
know.
As soon as I left here last week, I felt immediately stupid. And
Yeah.
I knew Clemson was going to blow them out. And for some reason, you started talking about how this game's been close, and I changed my mind. Thank you. Could have picked up a game on you. Did not.
I should have gone the other way.
I mean, but no, there's nothing surprising about this game.
All right, look, I'm going to ask you. You look down. We've talked about it. You look down Clemson's schedule, and there is no meat left on the bone. Mm-mm. I mean, it's basically chewed dry. Would you rather be in the spot that they're in, where the chances of you being challenged between now and the end of December when you play this first playoff game is pretty low? Or would you rather be in a position like Alabama's in, or a position like Notre Dame is, or Michigan is, or Ohio State, where you've still got games left where, okay, if you have a hiccup, if you have a bad game, if your quarterback does get hurt.
You mean as a fan, or as Dabo Swinney, or
as a team, is it better to be in Clemson's spot where you're basically just going to sleepwalk all the way through to the end of December, or would you rather be Alabama where you're going to get LSU and maybe you're going to get Georgia at the end, or if you're in Notre Dame's case where you still get USC, Michigan, they still get Ohio, where you still have these games where you have to be mentally tuned in.
Here's the thing. If you're Clemson right now, do you not still have a one hiccup game left? I mean, in other words, if you lose one game, right, you've lost a game the past 2 years. There aren't tons of winless teams like there were. We don't have 8 winless teams anymore. I mean, the conversation about Clemson's not going to even make it if these teams go winless, even if they do go win. That's over now. I don't think that was a thing anyway. It was a talking point.
You mean undefeated?
Undefeated. I get winless. If they lose a game, as they've done the past 2 seasons, but I mean, here's the thing: I don't think that's going to happen anyway.
No,
I think that would have happened by now.
I think they have better. They've had better teams to play left on their schedule at this point the last few years than they do this year.
And last year wasn't a hiccup versus Syracuse. I think we can see now that Syracuse matches up pretty well against Clemson. They have 2 weeks in a row. And Kelly Bryant got hurt.
If Kelly Bryant had not gotten hurt, they probably wouldn't have lost.
This was not the Pittsburgh game from 2 years ago at Death Valley. That was a choke. But last year, it was just a football matchup thing, and Bryant goes down.
But you didn't answer the question.
Okay. I think Clemson is in a better situation. I think I would rather be Clemson than Notre Dame because I think that however he does it, Dabo gets these guys ready to play every week. I haven't seen a lot of letdown. You asked it after they beat Wake Forest, who poked the bear. Mm-hmm. This team is hungry. I mean, I think somehow, and I'm sure you've noticed this.
Okay,
man,
would you rather be in Alabama spot then?
Well, I would always rather be in Alabama spot.
Where like I said, where you're gonna have LSU and
the difference
Georgia
is the real reason I would rather be Alabama is because I think they're the best team in the country. I don't think Clemson matches up against them well. I don't think LSU matches up against them well.
I don't get why everyone has jumped in on this Clemson's the only team that can beat Alabama thing.
But again,
I don't get it.
But it's the big weakness in college football right now. They don't play the same teams. Yeah, they both play A&M, but they're in completely different conferences. It's almost like 2 different sports. I mean, I just, there's a reason why it's always been joked around on college football message boards is the MNC, right? The mythical national championship. Because when it was BCS, as it is now, yes, you can pick the best 4 teams based on what, but I mean, think about how logically crazy it is that they don't play the same schedules. This is not the NFL. And I know Clemson fans are going to hear me say that and say, he's saying that because we're really good and they're not. No, I mean, it's not that. And I'm confused at the continued passion people have for college football because we've asked this question, man. I watch it, I like it, but there's only 5 teams that matter. Everybody else doesn't, and I don't know that there's anything they can do about it because the way you get players is by recruiting. I mean, it's not the NFL where you can make great decisions and be really smart and be John Gruden and get 12 first-round draft picks and make yourself better. I mean, I feel like we're locked into this, and there's no way out of it.
I think I would rather be Alabama just because
you've got Tua.
Well, no,
I don't care, and you're gonna beat these hard teams, man. You're gonna beat the difficult teams left on your schedule, and you've got one loss. If you can lose a game. They're not gonna. I don't think you can lose to Georgia in the last game of the season.
No, and that's what I was getting ready to say. I would rather be Alabama because I know that I have a mulligan. I know that Tua can sprain his ankle and miss a game or get hurt, and if we lose, we're still going to be okay, whether that's against LSU.
Well, I agree with you.
Or whether that's against Georgia in the last game. Alabama.
But we're talking about rolling the dice, and I don't think Clemson. If I'm Clemson right now, I don't think I need a mulligan.
Okay, well, you didn't think you need a mulligan when you played Pittsburgh a couple years either. Now, I'm not going to bet against Clemson on any of these teams, but if Trevor Lawrence goes down,
so you tell me no.
So I would rather be Alabama, where I know that one, I'm going to have a few games where they're going to have my full attention. Do you think Clemson's? Is there not a chance that they're not looking past Louisville? Not saying Louisville's going to beat them, but does Louisville have their full attention? I don't think so.
Who cares? Louisville can't beat them.
But it's the point. I want my team to be focused in as many times as possible before I hit the playoff. I think Clemson's going to steamroll the rest of this thing.
But that's the thing, though. Don't they look way more focused than you would expect them to be, though? I mean, look what they did to Wake Forest.
Yeah.
I mean, they went up there. Have you sat in that stadium before?
And listen, I'm still looking at a schedule with 5 more, 6 in an ACC
They're not going to overlook South Carolina.
No, but again, you just keep it. I want my team to be as focused in every single week.
Are you seeing evidence that they're not? Or is this just purely hypothetical?
This is just
But do you see something that leads you to be concerned about Clemson's focus?
Not at the moment, but that's not to say that at some point over the next month and a half, they're not just going to go, oh, my God, can we please just get on with this
Get
already?
to the playoff because we're waiting on it.
And so I don't think Alabama's not doing that. And so I don't want that infiltrating, any chance of that infiltrating my team whatsoever. So I would much rather be in Alabama's position than I would Clemson's position right now.
Well, I would too, but it's because I think they're a better football team. I mean, that's why I would rather be Nick Saban than Dabo Swinney, because I just think they're better, and I'd rather be the better team.
Well, that wasn't the discussion.
I know, but I like to change things, and I would also like South Carolina to be in the Mountain West.
Oh, I was going to say, look, man,
Mountain West.
Why don't y'all just become an independent and y'all can play?
We tried that.
Okay.
It did not work well.
Okay.
But we've never tried it with natural grass. We had tried it with AstroTurf.
Okay.
That could be the perfect combination. I don't like your attitude.
You can also stop sucking at almost just about every sport that they have down there.
We are 500 at everything.
All right, picks. Speaking of sucking,
God.
We'll do our college picks list. Last week, BG made a little comeback, and that was quickly pushed back with a 3-7 week. So congratulations, big guy.
Shut up.
You tried. First game on the list, we just talked about the Clemson Tigers. Going down to Tallahassee, the Florida State Seminoles are getting 17 points, another huge number. To me, this feels like they're trying to sucker you in, just like they did last week with that NC State huge number.
And I'm thinking about it.
I'm not falling for it this week. Give me Clemson, and they'll beat Florida State by more than 17. Even though Florida State has played better the last 3 or 4 weeks. They should have won their last 4 if you take out that Miami choke job they had.
I'm going to be smart and back off the ledge with you. I'm going to stick with Clemson on this one. Yeah. It's not going to work, man. You're not going to get me. Just move on. Just move on. What is all that?
What is what?
I love how I know you're trying to sucker me and it's still working. Like I know that you're doing it.
17 at Tallahassee.
Oh,
BG.
boy. Yeah. That's where we're at now, though. I mean, that is the argument right there. College football as a whole is declining as a quality sport, man. There are so few teams left. There's just blowouts everywhere.
I'm not as big a fan as I was.
It's a shame. It's a shame. It is.
North Carolina at Virginia. Virginia is -9.5.
Boy, this is
Look, North Carolina has been
battle of the giants here.
Listen, they've knocked on the door the last couple of weeks. You can argue the last 2 weeks they should have won. Should have won.
Absolutely should have won the past 2 weeks. What's the effect on them? That's that we don't know where this team's psyche is, but they've kept fighting so far.
Yeah, they've hung in there. I thought for sure that noon kickoff at Syracuse Saturday was going to be a disaster.
And it wasn't first.
It was not.
They came, I mean, that's the thing, though. They were getting blown out and fought back. It's impressive.
North Carolina at Virginia. You're going to give me 9.5. I'll take it. Give me the Tar Heels on the point.
I'm taking the Tar Heels, too. I think they hang tight with Virginia. There's nothing about a game at Virginia that's going to, I mean, there won't be a loud crowd.
And I'm going to make a prediction. North Carolina is going to beat somebody before the season's out.
No question.
That they are not, whether that's NC State or Virginia, they're going to beat somebody, or Duke at the end. They're going to beat somebody that they shouldn't beat, and it'll probably be a home game.
I think it's the Wolfpack. I think they take them down.
Are we allowed to call it the cocktail party anymore?
The world's biggest cocktail party. Yeah. I don't know.
Anyway,
why are we not allowed to?
Well, I thought they started calling it something else.
Who's they?
They.
We don't have to listen to they.
Like the PC police.
I've thought about getting a placard for my desk in my office that just says they.
What would be the point of that?
Just to let people know who they are. I mean, when they say things, then you would know it's actually me.
Oh, okay. I get it now.
Yeah, it took a little while.
It took a minute. Florida at Georgia. The Gators, man, they are coming on strong. They are coming on strong, climbing back up. After that loss to Kentucky, they are getting 7.5 points in this one. Man, that's a big number in a rivalry game for a team that is certainly on the upswing, BG.
I'm going to stick with the Bulldogs on this one. I think they rebound this week, and I don't think Florida's quite as far along as they think they are, and Georgia's a really good team.
Yeah, that's a big number for a rivalry game, though. 7.5, and
Georgia's dominated this rivalry as of late.
Yeah,
as of late, Georgia wins this game. I don't think it's by more than 10, but I'm going to stick with the Bulldogs.
I'll take Florida in the points.
All right.
I'll take Florida in the points. I think it'll be close. This Florida team is not the same Florida team that has been down there the last few years. So give me the Gators and the points. The Volunteers going to South Carolina. I don't know where this one came from. The Gamecocks.
Lord.
8.5 point favorites over the Volunteers. Night game. I know Will Muschamp is undefeated against Tennessee in his tenure as a head coach, but the last 2 years this game has been probably a lot closer than it should have been. So give me Tennessee in the 8.5 in this one.
I think Tennessee wins the football game. Does that answer your question? 7:30 kickoff.
The biggest game of the season for the Gamecocks.
Oh, well,
this is the season.
Well, that's why I think our guys come out and look terrible. Home crowd, nighttime game. They know it's
not. Are you going to wear all black?
I really hope not. They probably already have revealed. But I hope we don't have a shred of black. If now the seniors picked that stuff. If I was Will Muschamp, you know what I would do?
White helmets, garnet jerseys, white pants.
I'd put us in all white and let Tennessee have the orange.
And finally, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You chuckled at me when they were one of my Final Four picks to start the year. They're hanging.
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah, no man.
I laughed at you.
You laughed.
No. I had Notre Dame. You had Auburn, dude. You were trying to push that crap down people's throats. Go back and listen. I had Notre Dame.
The Irish taking on Navy. This one being played in San Diego, of all places. Team from Indiana and a team from Maryland. Let's go play a game in San Diego. Makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
Navy's.
There's a Navy base in San Diego. Maybe that's why.
Well, I know. I'm just saying.
Okay.
But Navy's, there for a long time, Notre Dame dominated this rivalry. And what would you say, last 10 years or so?
Yeah. Navy's been right in that.
Navy's taken several of them from them. They've won a few. They're getting 24 points.
It's hard to beat a team that runs the option by more than
I think Notre Dame wins. I think it's really not that close because I think Notre Dame is a really good football team. I think the playoff is in front of them. But you just said it. They run that option. You're probably gonna have 4 less possessions a game.
4 fewer possessions a game.
4 less.
Less is for things like pudding.
It's America. I can say whatever I want. Give me Navy and the 24 points. Notre Dame wins the game.
Yeah, I'm on that all day long. No way they beat them by more than 24.
All right, that's it for episode 74. Thank you for tuning in. Again, however you're listening, make sure you give us a follow on Facebook. Share our post, share our link, make all your Facebook friends. That's a different show, man. Quit being a clown. That's a different show.
Victory. But we beat Dallas.
That's a different show, man.
It's the whole point of the show, though.
You just completely ruined the end of the show.
No, you ruined the end of the show.
We didn't even